you don't even know that you suck. Turning over $1 million and quote unquote feels really successful is experiencing higher levels of freedom and profit. Just a really glorified, and I mean this with respect, like stylist or therapist, but I've got the extra stress of payroll and paying the rent and got to get the stock in and shit, my reputation's on the line as well. Please do yourself a favor, stop wasting time, go and
Do you remember that feeling you had when you first opened your salon? You were so excited. You were excited to be your own boss, have your own space, have your own team, make your own freaking money. But then after a few years, it starts to feel like maybe you just bought yourself a job, like as a stylist, and you have to earn the money and you have to pay the money. But maybe as a full-time stylist or therapist, you don't really feel like a business owner anymore. I know that definitely I felt like that in the early days. And I think this topic is really important to talk about. Who do you need to become to step into being a successful and profitable business owner? So I'm excited for this episode of the Salon Owners Collective Podcast because today the boardroom, the $1 Million Boardroom coach, Joel, he's back to tell you why you need to keep stepping up, stepping out and stepping off the floor so you can become successful, profitable, without burnout, without working more hours. But really quick, before we start, I wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you by the Salon Mastery $1 Million Boardroom. The boardroom is for salon owners who are already nailing $1 million and they really want to think about what's next for their business. Do I grow? Do I sell? Do I expand? Do I do something completely different, like become a coach? It's for $1 million salons only. And if you're at $1 million, you need to join the $1 million conversation. Okay, let's get into this episode. Joel is going to take it away, stepping up, stepping out, and stepping off the floor.
Hey team, and welcome to the podcast. Today I want to talk to you about making the step up, out, and off the floor. For those of you that don't know, my name is Coach Joel. I obviously work at Salon Owners Collective, and in our Salon Mastery program, I look after our boardroom level owners. Boardroom is a place, and it's about obviously who you are, but one of the criteria is that you turn over at least $1 million in revenue. And so it's great for me to work across the business, but in particular have this insight into how it is that quote unquote successful owners are doing it. And I want to talk to you today about making the step up, out, and off the floor, because I do believe, and I see this not just in hair and beauty, but across industry, that often when we get involved in business, we can have a really high level of energy. We can be really lit up by the possibilities and the prospect of reputation and ownership and new identity. And it's all very energizing. And then 3 years passes by, and you're kind of going, oh, it kind of feels like I'm just a really glorified, and I mean this with respect, like stylist or therapist, but I've got the extra stress of payroll and paying the rent and got to get the stock in and shit, my reputation's on the line as well. And so there's a really good book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber that I highly recommend to all business owners so that you can transition out of the I've just given myself a job to actually business ownership. And I think it's possible that we actually get stuck. You know, we're running a full column, we've got a few team members, but it's actually really stressful and it doesn't really feel like we can step up, out, and get off the floor. If you've ever felt like that before, you kind of almost at the effect of this thing called business and the way that things are. And so what I'd love to talk to you about is really quickly why it's important. So first of all, if you're not stepping up, then by default, you're absolutely down. And that could be emotionally, or it could just be playing it small. If you're not stepping out, then you're going to be in. You're going to be in the business. And being in the business is not how boardroomers identify. Absolutely, boardroomers, $1 million salon owners plus, will go into their business very intentionally and very, very tactically to do something that has high levels of leverage for the manager, for the team, whatever the case may be. But generally speaking, they're out, not in. And then making the step off the floor. Well, if you're not off, then you're on. And if you're on, then you by default cannot be growing your business. When you're cutting hair, consulting skin, doing any of that kind of client-facing work, by default, your business isn't growing. Even if you're making money in that minute or that hour, it's not actually growing. And so one of the things that becomes really important as we get to the end of 2024 and you take some time out to think about where you are, where you've been, and in particular, where you're going in 2025, I've got a question for you. And the question is, how would you behave if in 2025 you truly, by your own definition, stepped up, stepped out, and stepped off the floor? Like, how would your behavior be different to how it currently is? I think that's a really good, like line down the middle of the page. You know how you currently behave. You could look at your calendar or you could be a fly on the wall in your typical week. And then on the other side of that line, you could write down what would be the behaviors that I'd need to start executing on if I really wanted to step up, step out, and step off the floor. And I think if we answer that question, we actually then give ourselves permission to answer an even more important question, which is, who would I need to become? Who would I need to become in order to actually step up, step out, and step off the floor? More or less of who? More of the leader, less of the operator, more of the encourager, less of the criticizer, more of the systematic, strategic kind of growth and less of the winging it, more of the I need a game plan and some really clear steps and goals and less of the here, there, and everywhere the shiny object occurs. Who do I need to become more or less of? Another great question that you can answer. So in the context of stepping up, stepping out, and stepping off the floor, I want to share with you a model that could be useful for you to reflect on over the 2 or 3 weeks where you get to kind of think about how 2025 is going to go for you. And I don't know who to attribute this model to. You can look it up online. It's called the consciousness model, but it's got 4 levels. And so if you're driving or you're sitting, just imagine 4, if you like, steps, okay? And the first step in this model of consciousness, it has to do with skills, right? Your skills. And I think it's important to understand that the difference between a boardroomer, so someone that's turning over $1 million and quote unquote feels really successful, is experiencing higher levels of freedom and profit, and someone that's kind of like at that $500,000 mark and feels like burnout is just around the corner, overwhelm is a common corner to hang out in. The difference really is the level of skill that they have or the amount of skill that they have. And I mean that with respect. You can be a great person, you can be a contributing member of the community, an amazing mother or wife, all of the things. But if you don't have the skill to step up, step out, and off the floor, you won't be able to do it. So this conversation is actually about skill. And so stage 1 in this model is what they call, and you've probably heard of this before, it's called unconscious incompetence. I am unconsciously incompetent. Basically, I don't know that I suck in some or many areas of business, of leading. And it's important that we, in this particular circumstance, realize that those are actually what we call blind spots. You don't even know that the impact or influence that you're having on staff or clients or even your business is actually negative and it's unuseful. It's not moving you forward. And for that reason, it's really good to have some peers, some fellow business owners in your corner or community where you can get some feedback. You can literally go and have a wine or a beer and talk about business. I think it's so, so important because you learn so much when you have peers in the same situation as you, where you can come together, trust each other to share what's not working. Really, really important. So the first stage is basically, I don't even actually know that I suck, otherwise known as unconscious incompetence.
Hey, it's me. It's just me, and I'm quickly jumping in to interrupt and say, hey, thanks for listening to this episode, and I hope you're loving this episode. Now, let me ask you, do you ever feel like you've reached the top of the mountain and you just don't know what to do next? Like if you're $1 million business and maybe you're about to reach it or maybe you're already there, but now you're feeling a bit lost because the strategies that got you there aren't going to get you to your next milestone. What got you here isn't going to get you there. Sometimes the things that we did just don't work anymore. But I have some powerful strategies just for you. The Salon Mastery Boardroom is designed for $1 million plus businesses, and you'll learn how to take your salon to the next level whilst being surrounded by a community of other $1 million like-minded salon CEOs. Those CEOs are there to support and uplift you. So I'd like to invite you to join me for a complimentary $1 million strategy call. We'll discuss your business, your role in the business, and how to explore how you can grow your team, your leadership team, and develop the people so you can take the next step and reach that next milestone. All you need to do is click apply now in the show notes of this episode. It will take you through but a couple of quick questions, then you can book a strategy call with me. All right, that's enough. Let's get back to the episode.
Stage number 2 is a little bit more exciting. It's called consciously incompetent. Now I'm aware that I suck. I know that the way in which I give feedback is unuseful. Now I'm aware that the consultation process that we use is actually crap, or that we don't even have a process. I'm now starting to develop higher levels of presence and focus and awareness that allow me to better understand that we are incompetent in some way, shape, or form. And this is a really, really important part of business, because when you are aware that you suck or are incompetent, it becomes absolutely critical that you get a coach. There's no point getting a coach when you are unconsciously incompetent, because you don't even know that you suck. But when you know that there's an area of business that you're not great in, that you don't know how to move through that, you need to get a coach. And you might be thinking, Joel, why do I need a coach? Can't I just do it myself? I mean, think about it like this. How many people out there do you know that goal set and goal get on their own and are really successful at that? Like, it's few and far between. It really is. Like, I'm talking 98% of people don't know how to goal set. They cannot find clarity on their own. And number 2, they cannot goal get. They don't know how to commit and endure through the process to achieve. And so if you find yourself like in this area of business where you're like, I'm aware that I suck in a particular area, please do yourself a favor, stop wasting time, go and get yourself a coach so you can move through that. Stage number 3 is what we call consciously competent. I am aware, I am present to the fact that I am good, great, amazing, or even world-class in some or many areas of business. Those could be internal skills like leadership skills. They could be external skills manifested in systems in your business, which is raising the value of your business. Absolutely critical. So in this stage, you know you're good. And I hope that for many of you listening, you right now being able to go, yeah, I know I'm good. I know I'm good in this area, and I know I'm good in this area, and I know I'm good in this area. This is important because it gives us confidence. It allows us to sleep at night, to be able to like actually put the brakes on the weekend and have a little bit of a break, because you know you're good. And if you're good, you're probably producing value that increases through time the value of the business, so that one day you can access way higher levels of freedom and profit. So consciously competent, this is a great stage to be in, the 3rd stage. The last stage is where I want to spend a little bit of time, if I may. The last stage, as you're probably already aware, is what we call unconsciously competent. I am unaware of my competence, unless I really think about it. I am unaware that what I'm doing has a profound, exponentially leveraged or scalable impact on my team, on my turnover, and maybe even my time off. The way in which this works is probably likened to like if you think about a surfer on a wave, like when a surfer surfs a wave and they come off the wave afterwards, they don't go, oh, I'm really tired and sore from all of the output, from all of the effort that I just put in. They're not even thinking about the effort that they just put in. All they're thinking about is what they did, how they did it, and they're so in the moment of the environment that they've created. And so there's a massive shift at this fourth level whereby you are driven by the environment that you've created. So in the surf, that's easy because the waves are the waves and the surfer doesn't have to create them. But in business, it's the culture. In business, it's the actual aesthetics and feel. It's the how you feel in your business. And when you walk into your salon or clinic, how you feel, the people that surround you should be goals, should be driving how it is that you then behave. And if it becomes something that we're not even conscious of, but rather we are driven by that environment and we are unconsciously competent. We are delivering our skill set, our individual, our leadership skill set at such a level that it has this impact on others, impact on the business in a way that through time moves you towards a place that can only be described as desirable. It is the reason many of us, most of us, if not all of us, got into business to arrive at that place where the business, the system, the culture, the team, the turnover, the profit, the role, the salary, it's all at such a place that is respected and revered that you can't help but be motivated by the environment that you have created. And so as I begin to wrap this up, I want you to be thinking about those 4 levels. Where in your business are you unconsciously incompetent? And could you benefit from getting around some other business owners so that you might become more aware of your blind spots? Where are you in your business consciously incompetent? How do you know where you suck? And if you do, go and get some coaching on that, because you will otherwise burn time in order to save money when you could spend money in order to win back, earn back, and leverage time. Where is it that you are consciously competent? Celebrate that. These should be the, dinner table or Friday evening conversations with your partner or a friend where you're like, I'm really glad about the things that I'm achieving and the things that I'm doing and the skills that I'm able to express into my business. And then last but certainly not least is, how do you actually start to move towards this place for you, this being, this owner, this leader, this salon CEO, whereby your behavior, your presence and expression in your business, you're actually unconsciously really competent. And the way in which you move through your business has such a profound impact on others. The answer really is to increase your skills. Identify the skills that you don't have or are rubbish at and get a plan to increase and improve those. The more that you increase your skills, the more that you leverage time back. And we call that place freedom and profit. Freedom and profit. And once you're experiencing freedom and profit, it gives you permission to then focus on the other punchline of life, of increasing your skills is one. The other is increasing relationships, which gives you health and fulfillment. So if you want to move in 2025 into a life that has more freedom and profit, where you can focus more on your health and your relationships and all of the benefits that come from that, then I want to land this plane that it's actually about your skills. And maybe this 2024, 2025 transition and turnover is going to give you an hour or 3 to sit down and really think about what skills could you develop in 2025 so that you can experience more freedom and profit.
Hey, thanks, Joel. Really appreciate it. I hope this episode has given you the clarity or even helped you realize that you are not maximizing your potential as a business owner, as a salon owner. And as Joel said, owners in the Salon Mastery Boardroom know who they need to become, and they know they need to step up, out and off the floor, which is why they're making well over $1 million a year. And you can too. So big thank you to you, Joel. Thanks for taking over the podcast today. epic to have our $1 Million Boardroom coach on the podcast, and I'll be back to hang out with you again next week. Ciao for now.